Are you a migrant or an expatriate? In the UK and across Europe, these two words carry very different weight and meaning. One often comes with stigma, the other with privilege. But here's the thing, the difference shouldn't be about your skin color, where you come from, or even the language you speak. Today, we're breaking down what these labels really mean and why they matter. Welcome to the Insight Vodcast. My name is Adejuwon Shoyinka. Let's start with the basics. So, who is a migrant? A migrant is simply someone who moves from one country to another, usually to live or work. The United Nations defines migrants broadly, from students and seasonal farm workers to long-term residents who settle permanently. But here is where it gets tricky. In everyday conversation and in much of the UK media, the word migrant is often mixed up with refugees, asylum seekers, or even illegal immigrants. Now that's misleading. Refugees and asylum seekers are people fleeing war or persecution, and they're protected by international law. Undocumented migrants are those without legal permission to stay. But not every migrant falls into those categories. Many are legal tax-paying workers who moved by choice. Now, what about expatriates or expats as they are often called? Technically, an expatriate is anyone living outside their native country, usually for work. That means a Nigerian tech worker on a skilled worker visa or a Kenyan researcher on a global talent visa in London could be considered an expatriate. But here is the double standard. When Europeans or North Americans move to another country for work, they are almost always called expatriates. Yet when Africans, Asians, or Latin Americans move under the same circumstances, they are often labeled as migrants. The key difference shouldn't be ethnicity or skin color. It should be the conditions of movement. Expatriates usually move with contracts, professional jobs, and residence rights. Migrants in the policy sense are often those seeking work opportunities at any level, sometimes outside formal systems. So, let's clear this up. If you are in the UK on a skilled worker visa, or if you are here under the Global Talent Program, technically you are an expatriate. You've been invited by the government and an employer because of your skills. But society often still lumps all non-white foreigners into the migrant box. That creates stereotypes, as if all migrants are low-skilled, struggling, or undocumented, and that's not the case. Migration is not one story, it's many, from cleaners to coders, from nurses to Nobel Prize winners. To make sense of this confusion, I spoke to Professor Lanre Ikutehijo, a migration and security studies scholar at Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. He explains why the language we use shapes how migrants and expatriates are treated in this society.
The use of expatriate or migrant dichotomy should be less used, particularly in social media, because of the consequences. It has a lot of the consequences are quite profound, and I will tell you what the consequences are. For example, a politician who intentionally wants to hit hard on migrants, who decide to play on public sentiment, by labeling voluntary migrants, skilled workers, as, migrants, depicting the fact that they are illegal, depicting the fact that, trying to push for strict border policies, or what we call criminalization of migration, when you want your securitization unnecessarily, So that could have its consequences. Apart from the fact that, the policy consequences, even socially, it could lead to stigma, stigmatization of people who have left their countries in search of better conditions of living. Now, I must emphasize this, that the history of humanity is a history of migration. People have moved, people are moving, and people will continue to move.
So, whether you call yourself a migrant or an expatriate, Remember, the label should reflect your circumstances, not your skin color. Words matter because they influence policy, perception, and how people are welcomed into society. So, what do you think? Should we scrap the word expatriate altogether and just say migrants? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might be struggling with these labels. This is the Insight Vodcast, connecting the dots between the headlines and your everyday life.